We're going to start with some music. The theme for today is wisdom from worry. I'm going to start with a Mark Twain quote. I've spent most of my time worrying about things that have never happened. Pretty good. And I have two Hafiz poems for us today about worry. Both of them are playful. Find a better job, Hafiz. Now that all your worry has proved such an unlucrative business, why not find a better job? And one of my very favorite poems, it's called Troubled. Stay with me a while, for I am not troubled. Lonely, 1,000 naked amorous ones dwell in ancient caves behind my eyelids. Riches? Here's a pick. My whole body is an emerald that begs, take me. Write all that worries you on a piece of parchment and offer it to God. Even from the distance of a millennium, I can lean the flame of my heart into your life and turn all that frightens you into holy incense ash. That is Troubled by Hafiz. Translation by Ladinsky. Welcome to Shelter in Place. Welcome to Shelter in Grace, a sound meditation for a pandemic. The theme today is wisdom from worry. I was also thinking about calling it the pink elephant in the room, but I think wisdom from worry will probably be the title. This is my 48th day of doing these meditations live and daily, and I will continue through the end of this Shelter in Place. It looks like through June 1st. Here we shelter together in this contemplative practice of sound meditation. Every morning using spirit and words and poems, some ancient wisdom, some singing bells, a little silence, a little science to support us in all of this. Because we are the gardeners of our lives and we choose. Prayer and meditation allows us to choose better in the moment, in change, because the world is always changing. The theme today is wisdom from worry, and the readings are the couple of poems that you've heard by Hafiz. This is from this book, The Gift, Poems by Hafiz, the great Sufi master, translated by Ladinsky. One of my go-tos here. And I have several other quotes. The Dalai Lama, Mark Twain. I think I have a Bible in there someplace. What we'll do is I'm going to talk about how we use sound meditation briefly. Then we'll set an intention, and then we'll begin with the readings and the meditation, the sound. So, first, sound meditation is that quiet practice of listening better to our inner wisdom, the still small voice. We use words, we use the wisdom of others, but I think for me the point is to get to that inner voice, which is the better voice. Couple of days ago, I had this quote by John 16:13. When the Spirit of truth comes, it will guide you into all truth. For me, that's that still small voice that guides me in what is mine to do, to get to that inner wisdom. We are doing this Untethered Soul book. We are doing a book study, the San Francisco Unity, which you can still join. You can go to San Francisco Unity, unitysf.com's website and sign up. It's very interesting. He is Buddhist, and in my opinion, he suffers from that embedded Buddhist language, but he's got some beautiful ideas about discerning the voices of fear and the voices of wisdom, the voices of the ancient and the eternal, and the voices that are noise. Join us if you haven't read the book. It's pretty interesting. I'm also wanting to talk about why I use poems to get to that inner wisdom, to quiet the voices of worry. Because poetry calls us, it doesn't give us pat answers. This is what Naomi Nye says about poetry. Poetry calls us to pause. There is so much we overlook while abundance all around us continues to shimmer on its own. I like that. Sound does similar things. It's not music, it's sound. The only pattern that is in the sound is what we make of it. So we are, by default, discerning our own order, whereas music has its order. It has notes in the pattern of someone else's choosing. But sound, and the way the sound tapers down into silence, can lead us into some deeper stories, into that presence, sort of under the words. Because in many ways we hold so much in our bodies, trauma and stories that are not working and all sorts of things, the ideas that got baked in deep before we knew we were in an oven. Seth Godin. So sound helps us practice the presence, because in so many ways we are vibration, and we can access a higher vibration by other vibrations that we call good, which is the point also here, is the practice of calling it good. Even if we find that we are distracted and we find we're not on our intention, or we're not focusing on the higher, we're worried. We could gently gather ourselves back to center, gather ourselves back to that still small voice. I go from my head to my heart. My head's pretty noisy, but my heart is quiet. It is the place of observation, which gives me perspective, which is gold. So my thoughts today about worry, how to not worry in change. I love the Mark Twain quote about, I have spent most of my time worrying about things that have never happened. We make stuff up. One of the ministers that came to support us at Unity, she says she had an MSU. She had a master's in making stuff up, which is deadly, really. The Dalai Lama said this about worry. If a problem is fixable, if a solution is such that something could be done about it, then there's no need to worry. If it's not fixable, then there's no help in worrying. There is no benefit in worrying whatsoever. So the wiser parts of us knows that worrying is useless. It's not planning, it's not useful. Worrying is not helpful. There is no benefit in worrying whatsoever. But how do we stop worrying? That's like denying that you're thinking about the pink elephant when somebody says, don't think about the pink elephant. Our mind cannot lead us into the unknown because we'll never have enough data to be certain. So what is going to lead us? Well, for me, my heart leads us. Here's the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Reinhold Niebuhr. We drop down to the wisdom by comforting the voices of fear. That's what that Hafiz poem is playfully getting to. How do you comfort the voices of fear? Those are, for me, they're the child voices. They're the young voices that are still feeling fear, that are being triggered by this uncertainty, by a pandemic. How do we listen for that still small voice of wisdom and love? And how do we get the wisdom to know the difference? For me, it's about wisdom. Wisdom is love in action. In Unity, our fourth principle is that prayer and meditation gets us to knowing what is ours to do, and knowing what is the next right step. But the fifth one is to do it. Taking action is more in the realm of faith. And faith is not about understanding. It is about trust. So who do you trust? What is the discerning voice? How do you hear that discerning voice? For me, it's the voice of love, the voice of wisdom. The Untethered Soul book club is useful for that, because it's about self-inquiry. It's about the awareness of that we have a lot of voices in our heads. To talk about it with other people, it's about the discussions about those voices help us become aware so that those voices or those stories will not take over the wheel of the car and start driving. We want wisdom to drive us. Here's John again. When the Spirit of truth comes, it will guide us into all truth. That truth for the future, that truth that will help us. The mind alone cannot lead us into the unknown. We can't have enough data to be certain of a known outcome. Faith will lead us. But faith in what? For me, it's what Einstein said. This is what Einstein said. The most important question that any one person can ask is the universe a friendly place? Your answer to that changes everything. Our two poems today are playful. A 13th century Sufi poet and master has a lot to say about this oh-so-human dilemma of worrying and how to quiet the voices. So what is your intention today to access wisdom from worry? I'm going to give you 3 bells to think about that. Any gardener knows how to play in the mud of mystery. We listen with both our hearts and our minds. And we begin. Let's begin with our first breath of gratitude. Whatever's up for you today, breathe it in. Let it light you up. Push out all the dis-ease and exhale. Take another breath of gratitude. Breathe it in through the heart. Breathe it in and exhale. Focus it on the stories that you're holding. Focus it on the ease. Ease your body. Comfort yourself in any way possible. Comfort yourself. And if you find yourself drifting, With love, come back to center. Troubled? Stay with me a while, for I am not. Lonely? 1,000 naked amorous ones dwell in ancient caves behind my eyelids. Riches? Here's a pick. My whole body is an emerald that begs, take me. Write all that worries you on a piece of parchment and offer it to God. Even from the distance of a millennium, I can lean the flame of my heart into your life and turn all that frightens you into holy incense ash. Troubled? Stay with me a while, for I am not. Write all that worries you on a piece of parchment and offer it to God. Even from a distance of a millennium, I can lean my flame into your heart and turn all that troubles you into holy incense ash. remember this place. This place underneath the turbulence of worry. Peace, stillness. We remember this place, which is home. A place we can always go to, underneath the breath, underneath the words. This place of comfort and a deeper knowing. This place of the higher power when we drop down. We remember this place. I'm going to end with a poem by Saint Teresa of Avila. The heart has divine instincts. It just needs to be turned loose in the sky. Thank you all so much for joining me in this 48th or 49th Shelter in Grace. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful day, guys.